Hello, this is Chidero, and today's tutorial will be on a bracelet made on the finger loom. This design was sent to me a while back by the Filipino Loomer, but it is the_Filipino_Loomer. She had asked me to create a tutorial, so I do apologize as it is a tad late. But she came up with this design, which somewhat has a really cool fishtail stitch on the back and then some loose bands on the top. So all you need to create this bracelet would be your finger loom or anything that can be configured into this shape of pegs, and as many colors or different types of bands of your choice. I'm still going to stay with 2 colors. Today I'd like to use for the fishtail or the back of the bracelet, these are the Rainbow Loom 600 pack zebra stripe bands, and for the pink I used here, I'm going to stick with pink, but I'm going to use the, I believe they're lemonade, pink lemonade bands from Rainbow Loom, and a C-clip. So it's super easy, super awesome, and super fun. And we're going to start right here. I like to start here because on these 3 pegs there is a hole in them. This one doesn't, so it gives me a starting point. So we're going to take your top color, the color like the pink here, that color there, and we're going to go from our first peg, do a 888 to the back peg, like so. And then we are going to take our next color, which would be for your fishtail stitch in the back. We're going to go from the first peg over to the left peg, like that. And then we're going to take another one of this color here, and we're going to go from the back peg over to the left peg, like this. So push your bands down. Yes, I'm going to be playing and fiddling with mine, so these are dual layered. You get in the habit of trying to make your bands somewhat straight. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. Going back to my starting point here, I am going to take my first color, go from the first peg without looping or without making a figure 8, just straight back to that peg here. So now that we have 3 bands on this front peg and this back peg, we can go ahead and loop the bottom band up and over like that. So this is what you should have right there. And see, this one got a little bit twisted up, so we want to make sure our band stays straight. And this peg in the front and this peg in the back, these 2 should always be the same. And this peg will always be the same because we're always going to be placing the diagonal bands onto this peg here. So step 1, take a band and go from the front peg to the back, and then loop the bottom band up and over. Push your bands down. In step 2, taking the other color band, placing it over the first peg to the left peg, and then looping the bottom band up and over. And then your third step is to take the same color from the back peg to the left peg, again looping the bottom up and over like that, making sure that your bands are pushed down or straightened out. Again, you can always check yourself. If you go from your starting peg, your first peg here and the back peg should look exactly the same as far as what band should be on top, and the peg to the left should always have the fishtail stitch color, or just if you do different colors, you can't really be relevant. It won't be relevant by color, but if you're doing just two colors, just trying to figure a way for you to check yourself. So as you can see, we are only going to be using these 3 pegs here throughout the design, and what we're doing now is going to be continued until it is the length of your wrist. So again, as step 1, putting your band going from the first peg to the back peg, and then looping it up and over, and pushing the bands down, and then grabbing your next color, going from the first peg to the left, grabbing the bottom band, looping that one up and over, and then grabbing another of the same color, going from the back peg to the left peg, again looping over the bottom band on those 2 pegs there. And that is it. Making sure your bands are not crossed. Straighten them out if you're using a dual layer if you prefer. So on the finger loom, just when you're beginning, if you get a little bit of your bands caught up there, I just kind of take my finger and push them in, and that's only at the beginning as your bracelet is growing. So we will do this just a few more times, and then I will show you how to close it up. So from your starter peg, 1 band from the beginning to the back, and looping that over. Taking your next band, going from the first peg to the left, bottom band up and over. Push the bands down, and lastly a band goes from the back peg to the left peg, bottom band up and over. If I wasn't filming, I would take a ton more time making sure my bands weren't crisscross, but these bands, which they're growing on me, I do prefer the thicker bands. They're very smooth, so they tend to twist back if it's not twisted correctly. So we'll take front to back, up and over, and then from the front to the left, bottom up and over, and then from the back to the left, bottom up and over. I think if we do this one more time, we might be able to grab it from the bottom, give it a little pull, and see what we're looming. Alright, so I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a push in the middle, and then grab my finger loom, and now we have enough to grab at the bottom. I'm not going to grab it by the tip, I'm going to grab it by a little bit more, give it a little pull. There we go. As you can see, our bracelet is forming nicely. It may come out different, as you can tell with a lot of bracelets, depending on what type of bands that you use. So this one here is made out of just pure opaque bands, and it is very loose because they are very stretchy. I'm not sure if these bands are as stretchy as the opaques, but they do have a lot of elasticity in them. But if they have a little bit of a tighter If they are a little bit of a tighter band, you're going to get a tighter stitch. So, but as you can see here, that is your fishtail stitch, because on this is our beginning peg. On this peg here, you're always placing, in my case, I'll reference to the zebra stripe band. That band is always getting placed on this peg. Therefore, it's always giving me that fishtail stitch there. On the first peg and the back peg, you're getting both. You're getting the zebra stripe and the pink in my case. So you get that mixed look on top. So it is super simple to close it off. I know it's not even close to being done, but no matter the length of the bracelet, it's still the same process of closing it off. So I'm just going to go ahead and show that to you right now. So what we want to do is we want to take this and we want to take we want to take the first band here and pull that over. And then we want to go to the back peg and we want to pull that over as well, like that. Okay, now we want to take from the front peg here and we want to push this band to the back peg, and that gives us 2 pegs with our bands on it. Go back to your starting peg here and we want to take another band, place this band over those 2 pegs with the remaining bands on them, and then loop over everything that is left on that peg on top, just like that. And then we want to take one and place it over to the other peg with the band, thus giving you 2 bands on 1 peg. Then we want to take our C-clip and clip it off. Oops, should have been a little bit easier than that. There we go, and then take it off of your finger loom. So again, mine is just a very tiny variation, but this is what it should look like. And again, as you can tell, 2 different style bands, 2 different looks. I think they're both pretty awesome. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, the Filipino Loomers link is down below. Please click on that and check out her account on Instagram. And if you did enjoy making this bracelet, be sure to come back because there's lots more to come. Thanks for watching and see you next time.